going to be a bumpy night.
The guy who directed is Mike Bender. Have you familiar with his? You've seen his face as comedy. He was on stage at 18 at the comedy store.
It sounds familiar.
You will see as
Bender?
it goes
Mike
through.
Bender. Okay.
And just, I mean, I've never been there. You've been in the room. I took an interview there. Okay, remember, for the job?
Yeah.
So they only hire people who want to be comedians. So I told the lady, "Oh no, I don't want to be a comedian."
Look at you now.
And she said, "You're a funny person. You're not a comedian?" I said, "No, I just want the job and I just want to listen to comedy." And then I watched this doc. Every single person who works there is a stand-up comedy.
At the end of the main show, they usually have the door guys usually go up last, like midnight, 1 o'clock type of stuff.
Yeah, you know who was the doorman? Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, so this thing has just altered.
Yeah.
Just really an interesting thing about comedy. But the last episode is about cancel culture and about comedy. And it's Joe Rogan. I didn't know Joe Rogan got in a fight with Carl Mencina because Carl was stealing all the information, all the people's jokes.
Yeah, that was a big thing. That was a big thing. That was part of the thing that ruined, I would say, Carlos Mencia's career as far as mainstream, because that got so much press. And they confronted him on stage, Rogan and a couple other people, and it was kind of a dick move on Rogan's part, and I think it got him banned from the Comedy Store for about 7 years, so he couldn't come back in. Mitzi Shore at the time found it, that he crossed the line a little bit, so he kicked him off. But it was at the time people were still recording, so they recorded the whole altercation in the thing. So yeah.
Well, some of these guys come across as some pretty stinking dicks.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite comedians. I was really shocked by this. Not Jay Leno.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. David Letterman. That guy's a dick.
I've heard it a couple of times. Yeah.
Well, remember the one lady, the Eurythmics?
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't talk with him afterwards because he was so rude to her between the break.
Yeah.
And she just ignored totally.
Yeah, that's I've heard that about him before, that he's kind of a dick. He's kind of a smart ass kind of.
Well, he kind of sounds like a dick. When you watch this.
Yeah. If he thinks you're beneath him and like intellectually or even just in any way, like he seems like he's
worth billions of dollars and you can't get a set of braces.
I know. All right, you want to start, and then we can talk more about
floss. I could use his 3/4 inch roll. Okay. So we never wrapped up the Super Bowl because we didn't talk last week.
Yeah.
So Valentine's Day.
Okay.
What I've been watching. I got into I watched that John Belushi doc. We're going to talk about that.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Pretty much everything is. And then I watched Animal House.
Okay.
Mr. Mom, because I didn't know that Keaton was on stage. He's a big part of this Comedy Store.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, this is for someone like you.
Yeah.
Who loves comedy.
Yeah.
I'm
planning to get it because I don't have. It's on Showtime, right?
Yeah. I thought you had Showtime.
No, on Showtime.
So I just bought it for a month. I just bought it for a month because it's.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to do it sometime in March. Like, are we in February?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
So anyway, I have that, and then my pick of my week will be the Comedy Store, and then I thought we can just go right in it's pretty much a comedy thing because, man, that John Belushi.
Yeah.
Oh, the clips they showed of him just taking over the Improv in Chicago when the sets were bombing, he would just come out and do stuff.
Yeah.
And when I watched the comedy of people, it was really interesting. I finally learned that I am the bit. I'm not the jokester. Mm-hmm. I just do bits. And then they don't ever, whenever I have to remember something, I'm horrible.
Yeah.
But if I just wing it, I can make up anything.
Yeah.
And it was just really, it was very fascinating. And really, I'm back. Okay, it's so funny. I'm back to square one.
In terms of?
Well, I left. I went to get the job at the Comedy Store, which if I would have gotten the job, if I would have said I was a comedian, I probably would have got the job
And then you would be out of work.
and I'd be out of work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I moved here to go to the comedy house that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But one thing this show really, I'm struggling with this introduction of my book.
Okay.
And everything relates to this.
Well,
And now
let's talk about your book, because I know we haven't done like a opener.
all right, so
Or we could consider this an opener.
you love comedy, so
Yeah.
we could talk about. I know we always talk about it, but this documentary really was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And even I saw this clip where Richard Pryor showed up. He would just show up, and Robin Williams showed up. He didn't know it, and Robin Williams took over.
Wow.
And Robin Williams doesn't write one freaking joke.
No,
you know that.
Well, you know, Robin Williams got kind of a little criticized for I would say joke stealing, but he would kind of he was criticized for, I think in the 70s or 80s when he was on stage for, I would say completely outright stealing a bit, but he would kind of interpret it in his own way and pretty much make it like 10 times better. He was accused of doing that a couple of times, which I think he ended up making amends with a lot of people that criticized him for it, like certain comedians that may have pointed him.
See, I never heard that story. So, but it's interesting. Stealing. That's a very interesting concept, because if I'm writing a script about narcos, am I stealing?
Yeah.
So where is the originality within the thing? He took word for word.
He took word for word. What Williams did would take like a premise and just completely create his own thing around a certain idea or whatever. So with the way his mind works, I could see him being at the store overhearing something, and then him going home and then kind of developing some type of character, or even like just brainstorming and coming up with like a better version of what he heard. And that's what I heard about him. It's in his book a little bit too, but it doesn't discredit his like his work as a comedian or his stage performances or his.
You put him in
presence.
the top 10 comedians of all time, guaranteed.
Yeah, in terms of performers, especially, I don't know, material. I think if you're looking at it from a comedian standpoint, like.
Well, then you got to go back to Gallagher. Did Gallagher, was he a comedian?
Yeah, that type of thing. But if you're talking about performers and someone that just destroys, like where they pull all the attention of the room onto them. Oh yeah, he's top 10 for sure, top 5. Even like his interviews on like Leno and all those are still, they're hilarious to watch. They're amazing.
You know what's interesting? So I grew up in the era of Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Carson loved stand-ups. Johnny Carson made all those guys.
Yeah.
You would have never heard of Freddie Prinze. You wouldn't have heard of Jay Leno. You wouldn't have heard of Dave Letterman. You wouldn't have heard and they talk about how all the executives were there.
Yeah.
Think about all the TV shows. Think about every single comedy has come from that club.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the top 20 comedies of all time. All these people that I didn't know they were comedians that were standing up. I mean, it really was just, truth is, I'll probably buy it.
Buy what?
And now I want to read it. I'm going to actually
buy the doc.
I want to buy the doc because it was just interesting, and I pick up little things every time.
Yeah.
You know how it's hard to watch at your house?
Yeah.
Kids,
people walking around.
Mm-hmm. Dogs, I got people trying to break in and steal my drugs. I mean, it's just crazy. I realized that I would have fit in very well in the 70s at that club. And I wouldn't be alive today.
I'm surprised you've never been there. The Comedy Store is probably my favorite place. I like Ice House though. Ice House is great. It was really comfortable, really nice to be in there. But there's something about
I looked at my clip. I got some good laughs at the Ice House because my wife made me practice with her because her friend Mike was coming.
Yeah, you
the
need
music
to.
Guy.
That's nerve-wracking. Were you nervous to practice in front of your wife and friend and all that? and people like 2 people in front of you is probably even more nerve-wracking than 20 people in front of you. I don't know.
Well, I was there with Carlos and his girlfriend and my wife one time at the West Side.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. These black guys said to me in the back room, "You ain't funny, but you in shape." You could hurt that. They said, "No one's gonna heckle you because you're gonna hurt them." They weren't funny either. But you know what's funny? I saw some people from the West Side that are in this documentary.
Really?
That we're doing.
What's the documentary called for people like that are interested in it? Just straight the Comedy Store, huh? The other one that we both saw, I haven't seen the Comedy Store one yet on Showtime. That's on Showtime, but the one that's on HBO, the CNN documentary series.
Yes, I saw the 6.
That's
3 old though.
It's kind of old, but it's still. I mean, old in the sense I think it's maybe a year or 2, because of the people that are in it and the material and the current topics that they're talking about. It's within the last couple of years, so it's still pretty relevant. It's good though.
You know what I find is that if I watch myself on the little picture, it disturbs me because I'm looking off the side and I really realize, God, I should probably look at you if I'm.
Well, I mean, look, I didn't even have a hat. My hair's not really even that done. I mean, I came.
Yeah, well, could have been this. See what I'm saying? Could have been that.
I have. You know what? I didn't even think about the fact that you let your hair grow.
Because when you don't have a few strands doesn't matter.
No, I didn't even notice like the hair on the side.
You know, God took my hair because I thought too much of myself.
I completely forgot that you just shave your head. I didn't even think that I saw, like, I noticed hair earlier and when we first got on camera, and I didn't even think about it until like you just took your hat off. It's like, oh crap! You're like,
now you know the cost.
Let your hair grow.
The cost of testosterone.
Yeah. So at work, do you take the hat off and you go to work just like that, or you wear a hat at work? Are you more comfortable with like hair? Are you comfortable with the hair the way it is right now?
Well, no, because there's no hair there. But let me tell you what, I wear the hat and I wear the mask and I love it. And as soon as the masks are gone, I am done with any type of security work.
Yeah.
Because I hang out at the Old Town Pass. I hang out we're at every show at the Pasadena Playhouse. I'm at the Paseo, and I'm not running into these people 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
That I have to throw out. And the boss was like, "You can't wear a hat." And I said, "Too bad." I said, "We ain't living in the other world."
Yeah.
Because my boss, listen, if you own something, you want me working for you. If you're a manager, you're going to hate my guts.
Yeah.
Because I don't mess around.
Yeah.
And especially when safety's involved.
Well,
it depends, I'm pretty good at my job.
Depends on the manager. Really, it depends on the.
Well, yeah, if you're one who's like, just do it.
Yeah.
But in the constraints, but like I said, I own them.
Yeah.
I have every picture. I have articles I've written. So I'm not really worried about it, but it's just, I don't want anyone to know who I am at that hotel because I walk with my wife. And the fact of the matter is, one time in Little Tokyo, I was with my wife. We were going to is it Mocha? What is that big museum down there? I saw it's where.
I think it's a Mocha.
It's Mocha. I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the crackheads from the Westin LAX came up to me and my wife.
Recognize you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Came up to me and started like threatening me. And I said, "You lay a hand on me, I'm going to kill you right here."
What did he tell you?
He goes, "You motherfucker cracker, you threw me out. You fucking," just came out.
Good memory for a crackhead.
He was the little crackhead guy.
I know, but the fact that he remembered you and that he's like a homeless.
He didn't remember me. So then 2 weeks later, Ivan was over in Little Tokyo. And the guy said, "What the fuck? You guys are everywhere." But because of that one instance.
He's got it up. Yeah.
I don't want anyone to know who I am. I don't wear my wedding ring at work. I keep myself covered up, and sure, it kills them that I'm wearing. Usually I wear a military hat. And the reason is the military hat demands respect. Doesn't matter what culture, doesn't matter if you're a criminal. Everybody respects soldiers.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, I wear this hat because of safety issues.
Yeah. It gets people to think twice about who they're interacting with.
Yeah, when I wear a military hat, most people think, "Oh, this guy can probably hurt me,"
Yeah.
because I look like a trained soldier.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do like it, and they want me. I said, if you want me to wear another hat, then just order it. It's been
Mhm.
3 months. It's been 3 months.
Yeah.
This lady writes me a thing saying I need to give the other, the front desk man, I need to sit there so that they can take a break. And I'm supposed to tell people showing up at 2 a.m, oh, you got to wait 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I said, how do they need a break? Do they need a break from watching movies or sleeping? Because I understand that watching
Mhm.
2 movies at the same time is definitely hard, you know,
Yeah.
and I sometimes I get a little worked up in movies, so I understand that.
So
But
how's
that's
work?
the
How's work been
situation.
though?
And
Well, how's work now?
Cartel's back.
Yeah.
Cartel's back.
Mm.
New guys from Chicago coming in. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
And they're all doing business on the border of Long Beach and Compton.
Oh,
That's
okay.
where they drive every day.
Okay.
What does that tell you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have watched this show so much.
You know, I was thinking about rewatching it, but I wasn't sure about what season to start on again. I was like, oh, it's got to come to me.
Well, I go through periods. I mean,
Mhm.
I probably won't watch Queen's Gambit anymore, but I'm going to tell you what, I still think that show was my favorite show of last year.
Yeah.
It was
for
a
sure.
perfect escape.
Yeah. Well,
And
especially
that-
towards the
and I
latter
just-
part, because Narcos Mexico, the last season that came out earlier this time last year.
Mhm.
So I kind of forget about that too, because like it came out January.
Did it?
Yeah, it came out January, February of 2020,
This year has been,
right?
I'm just drained of it, to be honest with you. I'm sick of
Yeah.
wearing a mask. I'm sick of gloves. Though, man, you know how many people are at our hotel?
How many?
85% booked.
Really?
Yeah, because of Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So today we'll be down to 68.
Okay,
I
and
love it.
it'll trickle. It'll go away by the end of the week. Do you think?
Oh no, we had 165 people checking out today.
Mm. Okay.
There's only 300 rooms because the third floor they don't keep. So anyway,
All right, man. So we'll talk about what you've been up to. So I know your work's been okay, and then you're looking to get out of there in a few months, I'm sure. But everything else, how was your Valentine's Day? At least start with that. How was that?
well, I mean, my daughter is in Michigan
Mhm.
with my mom. That's not mom's not doing well. It's been a very stressful situation, but it's the first time my wife and I, so we didn't really do anything because so I
Not much to do,
I cooked.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
cooked
what did you
dinner.
cook? What'd you do?
Korean short ribs,
Okay,
homemade mashed potatoes,
okay.
peanut butter cookies with ice cream, and 5 cases of beer.
I kind of believe it. I think that's
Yeah, I
that's one of
like
your
that
favorites, right?
Voodoo
Yeah.
IPA myself.
Uh-huh.
It's I like the 9% alcohol.
You know which one I
And,
recommend? I don't know. Do you like the darker kind of like Guinness-y type of beers?
No, I don't like. There's a fine line in the IPA,
Okay.
but I know I'm
Like a
Irish
stout
and
and all that stuff.
yeah, I don't like Guinness myself, and I
Okay.
don't like Heineken either.
Oh, okay.
I don't like the skunk, and I don't know why. Now I did have they make the lighter
Mm-hmm.
Genesis or Guinness. What is it?
Guinness.
How do you say it?
Guinness. Guinness.
Guinness,
Yeah,
yeah.
Guinness. Yeah,
I don't speak English. I'm Irish. Oh, I'm gonna go to hell for that one. But yeah. So I did have a couple beers, whatever. We had a nice time. We watched.
Okay.
Truth is, we ended up just watching one of the episodes of the Comedy Store.
Okay.
My wife really likes it because my wife loved all those, Mork and Mindy and all
Yeah.
those shows, and I did not realize how everything came from the store.
Yeah.
So we did that. We had a nice time. And what about you?
We kept it light for the most part. We had a family. We got some desserts. Our family here. We didn't really go out and do anything. We cooked some steaks. baked potato, a couple, like a vegetable concoction on the side, and that was about it, man. It was pretty nice. And then my wife got some kind of these cup cakes. Like this is one bakery over here that puts these in these cups and bakes a cake inside them, and then it's like frosting and whipped
Oh,
cream.
I've seen that.
Yeah, so we picked up a couple of those, and that was kind of
What
like
kind?
dessert.
What kind were they?
They were chocolate with like a coffee kind of mousse in the middle, and then like some Mexican chocolate on top. So it was pretty cool. It was
Were
like
they good?
it was good. Yeah, it was good.
Excellent. I ate a lot of candy. I mean, at work, I was just.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of candy here. I mean, but there.
You give your son
a lot of
candy?
chips. You know his uncle, his grandmother, my mom. Yeah, they sneak the candies in for sure. But we try.
Yeah,
not
that's
to.
how they drug the kid. That's how
Yeah.
they get him on his side. I mean,
Exactly.
when we went to my grandma's house on my dad's side, she would give us a bowl. Give me a bowl of M&Ms and sit me in front of the TV.
Yeah, that's what the relatives.
I wonder
do,
why
man.
I have high blood sugar now, but
Yeah.
I will have to say that I will always go with the sweet over the salt for me. Now, my wife is more of a salt person, likes the chips, more like that, but I'll go pure candy. I mean, the truth is, I eat sugar sometimes.
Yeah,
It's probably not good.
what? Then maybe I would have to say I go salty then, because I've always been like, if I'm at a restaurant, I pour a little salt in my hand, I'll eat a little bit of salt. I don't know. I just I like, I don't know. I need that little bit of saltiness, but I am a big sweets person, so I haven't. Yeah, I gotta have like some type of dessert after like a dinner or whatever. Like even if it's just like fruit, I gotta have something.
Fruit's not a dessert, but
But
Tom Brady,
something sweet. You know what I mean?
So right now I'm going to do 30 days
Okay.
workout every day till St. Patrick's Day.
Is that healthy? Is that good?
Yeah, I mean,
I know you work out hard, so I mean, 30 days and no break.
the most I did was 6 weeks one time.
Okay.
So I do cardio and strength and flexibility, but I don't consider cardio. So when I hike, I don't consider that a workout, though it is a workout.
Yeah.
I'm going to concentrate, and I'm going to go to the gym and do more heavier work.
Okay.
So I'm doing heavy legs, heavy presses, bent over rows, deadlifts, incline bench press, different things that I don't normally do, because it was really interesting. When I went to the doctor a couple of weeks ago, I weighed 182. We talked about it. But I'd been really cutting my carbs and doing it. And it was really interesting. So over the Valentine's Day weekend, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I just kind of ate what I want. And my size, the look of my size, because you deplete the carbs, the muscles shrink with it.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of guys, when they compete for bodybuilding, they miss it. I've seen it for years. They starve themselves too much instead of taking 2 days. All these guys, the day after the contest, they look massive the next day because they regained all the size.
Yeah.
So I'm not having any alcohol, sugar, white flour for 30 days. None.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm going to work out every day for it. And then on St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to eat and drink myself unconscious. Because I feel that's what I should do.
Yeah.
And so other than that, just been doing that. Work is what it is. It's been very dicey.
Yeah.
Just having to be careful, having a chance to joke with the people every once in a while and different things. And so, but it is what it is. It's just a job. And really, we have not talked about the Super Bowl because we didn't talk last week. And the truth is, we talked the week of.
Yeah.
And I thought, I mean, it is exactly what I said.
Yeah.
And, our society is so willing to throw on great. Is so willing to just like, really?
Yeah.
Hey, I like Patrick Mahomes. I think he's a phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
I think he is. But like I said in this game, the pressure's on him.
It is. Yeah.
Now he's the guy who couldn't beat. Doesn't matter how many championships he wins right now. He didn't beat Tom Brady. And the truth is that he didn't lose to Tom Brady. The Buccaneers kicked their ass on every aspect.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw a defense on that was Chicago Bears in '85.
Mm-hmm.
That guy ran 497 yards backwards.
Yeah.
Now, if someone ran 497 yards to the front, it would be Hall of Fame. It has never been done. I think 300 and some yards is the most per game.
Yeah.
Every aspect of that. Tom Brady, the Gronk to Gronk twice, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Brown, the guy he brought here, who got a huge incentive by catching that touchdown. That's what Tom, and people are saying, oh, well, the left tackle was hurt for KC. You're right.
Yeah.
But guess what? They stink and own this guy. And I always felt Andy Reid was suspect. He was suspect in Philadelphia as a coach. So, and the food was phenomenal.
Yeah, but I think with Mahomes, he can't. He's I didn't really watch much of the game, though, to be honest. But I know he he's young, and then they won the championship last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think there was a lot of pressure on the guy to beat Brady and to do a repeat and to be this superstar to fill his shoes, and it's a lot of pressure to put on the guy. I think the guy's going to go on and win multiple titles, I'm sure. But it's you don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Are you writing him off already?
No, not writing him off.
Uh-huh.
Years ago, I worked out at Gold's Gym, the one over here in San Gabriel.
Yeah.
And one of the guys I used to work out, not with, but was in there, was a guy named Dr. Harry Herr.
Okay.
He was he won a Super Bowl ring on the Washington Redskins team, special teams back then only had 1-year contracts.
Wow.
And with Doug Williams.
Uh-huh.
So he went and got his doctorate in anthropology.
Okay.
His kids went to that famous high school where the Gallon Halls go, Montana's sons go, LeBron's kids went for a while. I don't know. You've heard of this
yeah, but I don't know.
And because I'm too poor to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So unless there's a janitorial job, then I know I can apply.
Yeah.
But he told me, and this was back 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He said, when defensive coaches aren't the only one watching film, it's behavioral psychologists.
Mm.
And they look for ticks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that Monday morning, every single defensive coordinator in the NFL was in his office at 6 a.m. watching that tape and watching how the defensive coach of the Tampa Bay was able to facilitate this.
Yeah.
Now, the problem also with Patrick Mahomes is there's an algorithm of free agency. Doesn't matter. 2 or 3 years, they can't. You sign this guy for $450 million.
Yeah.
Where's the money going to go to get everybody else? It's not.
Yeah.
So eventually, this Hill and all these great players, they're not going to be able to be there. They can't afford it.
Yeah.
They say you have about a 3-year algorithm of getting to the championship game, Super Bowls, to where you lose your players. So he will have to rebuild the team. But when you rebuild the team,
you can't get.
You're not going to have that ability. Not only that, we will see what Patrick Mahomes is now.
Mm-hmm.
We will see his adaptation and where he grows. Make no mistake, he's not Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson is a great athletic talent. He can't throw the ball.
Okay.
If you don't throw the ball, you lose a step, you're not going to be playing in the league. Dax, all these people they want to put on, like Wentz, all this, I knew they don't have it.
Yeah.
No, and they keep they keep loading these people up with massive contracts that you can't withstand. I mean, there's an algorithm of cost. Now you look at Tampa Bay. What professional's not going to be calling Tom Brady and say, "Hey, man, I need a ring. I've been suffering for 10 years.
Yeah,
I'll play for nothing." So you watch who comes to this team next year.
Yeah. Yeah. You think is Brady coming back? Or
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you think
they're
so?
all coming back and they're going to win.
Wouldn't it be good to go out on this one?
Mike Evans said yes, But I think he knows. He talked to the players and say, "Are we coming back?" Even Mike Evans says, "I'm cutting my salary to keep people." So when you start keeping people, bar injury changes everything. But it just was a great game. It was what I thought. In fact, I texted Peter, the engineer from Weston.
Okay.
He texted me that morning. He said, "What's the call?" And I texted him and I said, "Well, I think Tampa Bay, bar injury, will win if their defense contains." But I said, the guys who are going to score the touchdowns are Gronk and Antonio Brown, because we didn't see them for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we hid them and did it. And the truth is, but the bottom line is, wrapping up the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay wouldn't have been there without Tom Brady. Tom Brady elevates every single aspect of that game. In fact, when they won the championship game, some guys were crying about going to Super Bowl. He told them to quit effing crying because we got one more game to win. So that's the drive, and I like it. And I thought it was it killed Roger Goodell in the NFL that Tom Brady won. It was just he didn't even thank Tom Brady. Goodell left. He handed the trophy and then he left because he hate Kraft and him. Kraft came up from the Patriots and said, "I love Tom Brady. I'm so happy for him." Not one word from Belichick during this season.
Do you think he called him on personal? I'm sure he did, right?
Yeah,
He's never been the media type of guy anyway. From what I.
Well, okay.
He's not a big talker. From what I.
And I bought the Tom Brady number 7, the shirt he wore for the interview.
Yeah,
I bought it from TB12. And you know what's so funny? There's a guy who's on the trail hiking. Now this guy is a retired Hollywood mogul. There's something about him. I don't know who he is. He doesn't really tell me things. We've kind of bullshit back and forth. But I told him when I went up to Yosemite, he said, "I'm not going to say who the actress is," but he said that he was sharing the JFK suite at the Wani Hotel in Yosemite with the top female actress of the 70s. So if you're sharing if you're in the John Kennedy suite at Awana, that pretty much says everything right there.
Yeah.
So he was going on about how Mahomes was this and that and whatever. And I couldn't wait. I was on that trail every day. Finally, I saw him. It was Tuesday after the Super Bowl. He wasn't there Monday. So Tuesday, I'm there. And I said, "Man, I've been sleeping here for 3 days waiting for you." He goes, "I told you that Brady would win." And so we had this big conversation and just talked about different things. But anyway.
You don't know his name? You never got his name?
I can't.
He doesn't want to. Does he want to tell you his name?
I don't know.
Because
we've seen each other for 2 or 3 years now. So now we talk. We stop and talk for 15, 20 minutes.
So do you know his first name at least?
No, he told me, but I can't remember. I can't remember people's names. I know
sometimes. Yeah.
I talked to a million people.
Yeah.
I can't remember my name half the time.
I was saying because you could Google him if you got some type of info.
You know what? I will. I'll get his first name. I'll see him probably Thursday afternoon. The truth is.
Okay.
So I'll be hiking and I'll say, "Hey man, what's your first?" He knows my name. He says Paul every time, which is now even more weirder if I say.
Yeah, maybe don't ask him what his name is. Yeah, because that'll just make things awkward. He's like, "I've been talking to you for like 3 years."
You idiot. Obviously, I'm an idiot. I'm hiking this trail in the afternoon when I should have a big time job. Yeah. But he doesn't work. And and it's interesting because I believe he was from Universal Studios. And the reason is that there was a guy who was walking up with sound equipment and was capturing Foley for a movie. One time, and we were talking, and he started talking about Universal, and then I ended up going down. But I can't say for sure, but he looks familiar too. He looks just blonde hair, early 60s. He just Google a couple of Hollywood producers, Hollywood executives from Universal 70s. I'll do some research. But anyway, nice guy. We had a nice conversation. The truth, and 2 of my friends said I called it at the beginning that Tom Brady would win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And to go through this year and not have practices and a whole new team and a whole new everything, and new coaches and everything, move your whole family.
Yeah.
COVID and the stinking. And you're right. I knew that they would beat, and this is what Brady won. He beat Breeze,
Yeah.
Hall of Fame quarterback, had beaten him twice in the year.
Yeah.
Then he went up and beat the MVP, Aaron Rodgers, in his home field in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
And he won. There was only other player for him to beat, and that was Mahomes.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And the last time he won the Super Bowl, who did he go through? Wentz,
Yeah.
Joff, and Mahomes in the championship game. So if Mahomes and Brady come back for the next Super Bowl, now this Super Bowl was one of the least watched, by the way.
What do you think that is?
I think people are just tired of bullshit.
Yeah.
Tired of being told what to do, knew all the commercials would be finger pointing. I think people have just gotten tired of sports. They're trying to keep their families healthy. People don't have jobs. Hey, things are going around, but there's a lot of people. There was a big article in the it was either Forbes or Wall Street Journal. The hospitality industry isn't coming back to 2024.
That's what they think. Like in terms of like 2024, the way it was 2019,
pre-pandemic employment in hospitality ain't happening to 2024.
2024. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Who's gonna be? They're not gonna be traveling. It's just I get it. I can see it. 2024. That's a long. No, you don't think 2023, 2020, and 2022?
Just going by. Well, because we're having variants now. Now the vaccines that they have issued are not covering
the variants.
What's coming overseas.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy thing. Anyway, I was happy about the Super Bowl. Big Tom Brady fan. And did you see that how wasted he got?
I heard about how wasted he got.
He had to be helped off. He couldn't walk. He drank so much tequila.
Man. He deserves it, man.
But you know what? That's how to live your life.
Yeah.
He lives no sleeping. He texted everybody on that team for a week. He said, "We're winning." Every single player and coach. How many people is that?
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, the coaches did a good job, came up with a big defensive plan. But the fact of the matter is that the reason Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl is Tom Brady went there.
Yeah.
And he elevated everybody just like Michael Jordan did with the Bulls.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have heard of Scottie
very much
Pippen.
the same. Yeah, very much the same.
Exactly. The same as John Belushi.
Yeah.
I watched, moving on, so we'll go into what we've been watching. I watched the documentary on Showtime.
Okay.
About John Belushi. And it was a puff piece.
Okay.
And I get that from the almost. This is where I'm at with it. I mean, having the documentary was great.
Yeah.
I didn't see Bill Murray being interviewed. I'd like to know what he had to say.
Or maybe why he didn't do it. You know,
why wasn't he asked? That was kind of
why wasn't he asked? Was he not asked? Do you know for sure if he was asked?
I don't know. I'm just saying, why wasn't he in it? I mean, my gosh, he's probably the most well-known of the era. Even, I mean, think of all the people of that era. He's probably the most, other than Chevy Chase. Is there anybody more well-known?
Yeah, you're right.
Bill Murray might have eclipsed almost anyone when it comes to his movies.
Even
all these different
staying
things.
Relevant. I mean, because I know Chevy Chase has stayed relevant when he was on, I think, with a Community. I think he was on there. You know, a lot of people didn't like him because everybody said that he had a bad attitude. But
he's a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick.
He left. Did he leave Saturday Night Live that he couldn't be the star and other people were starting to get real popular? Maybe.
Yeah. But Bill Murray has had this almost cultish kind of.
He shows up at people's parties.
Yeah, he shows up at people's parties. He's in like Zombieland. He's in like he does all these like Life Aquatic and all these other movies, Lost in Translation. So he's like constantly reinventing himself and putting himself in the random places that even the younger generation, younger than me, are familiar with who he is, or at least appreciate him in some way because they see him on social media, kind of like Tom Hanks, where they catch Tom Hanks and like doing some like random selfie with people in the park or whatever type of thing, or at a coffee shop,
That will be my movie. I watched this Friday night. My movie night will be the next this Tom Hanks movie with the girl, the Western. It's gotten phenomenal reviews. I'm a big Tom Hanks fan anyway. Though it does, when I see the pictures, it reminds me a little bit of True Grit.
Okay.
kind of, but
Yeah,
still,
right,
I don't
yeah.
know the story, but I that's one of my, I'm going to rent that movie next. But the Belushi doc, what was fascinating,
Yeah.
he's studying comedy albums at 5 years old and doing
Mm,
shows for his family.
yeah.
Pretty much everybody who's great starts young.
Starts out. Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it comes to, I mean, they
Was
put
this
the time in.
was this documentary? Did this documentary? Because I know you know a lot about Belushi, or you're a big fan of Belushi. Did it show you a lot of things? Give you a lot of more info that you didn't know before?
Well, a lot of his hype, yeah, a lot of his youth that and kid stuff that I didn't know of. Interviews with his brother John.
Yeah,
I can imagine being John Belushi and living under that shadow
I know.
of your
I know.
brother.
He did do okay for himself though.
No, yeah, exactly. But still pretty heavy. So right now, probably one of the Oscar nominations is going to be that Night in Miami, the movie you talked about.
Yeah.
And those three gentlemen who are in it, Muhammad Ali, who's the other two people? Malcolm X, and who's the other one?
Malcolm X, Jim Brown.
Is it Jim Brown?
Yeah, Jim Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim Brown, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and I think it was Sam Cooke.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sam Cooke, you're right. So that's pretty fascinating. But how about a movie talking about Bruce Dern bringing over Robin Williams and Robert De Niro to smoke, to do heroin and cocaine all night? Now tell me that wasn't the craziest party in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Can you imagine De Niro and I mean, just think about those three.
Yeah, there's a biopic. You can even do a biopic of some of the events of leading up to that night where Belushi died. Like you can do, from like Belushi's perspective, Williams, De Niro's meeting, and then the death. I don't know. This is or even just from that time period, like a cool biopic of that time period of somebody.
Why we haven't had a film about Saturday Night Live the first couple seasons is beyond me now that I've seen this. But so they kept it slow, and then when it got to the end, bam, 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 wrap up. Well, how about an interview with Robert De Niro, who was there? Because that's probably the most wanted interview in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not a mention. And I thought that's where years ago they did a movie about Belushi with Michael Chiklis.
Okay.
Before Your Time.
Okay.
And he got blackballed.
Is it why?
Because they went a little more darker. And we didn't hear from him for a while till he was the commish, and then he did The Shield, and then he was the Thing. That's got to be the lamest Marvel person. The Thing. I'm a rock.
A lot of people like The Thing. Big Fantastic Four.
Hey, he's
fan,
cool.
a lot of them.
But you're not picking up chicks.
No. Well, that's the whole thing about the Thing, is that he's kind of doomed to like live this kind of life.
I mean, you wake up and you're the Thing. I mean, it's like it's being a gnat. I mean, you're just screwed. Yeah. When they hand out the jobs in heaven, and then you're and you're standing there, and the guy gets Tom Brady, and then you get the Thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a rough life.
It is.
No one's going to let you sit on their furniture because you break everything. I'm not having the Thing over tonight. You ripped the door off. Did you ever see this? Wait, did you ever see Saturday Night Live when they did the superheroes and John Belushi was the Hulk?
Yes. Yeah.
And he goes to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
They're all, the flash comes over. Goes, I was already here. And just like, anyway. So that being said, it was interesting to see. I thought it would have been a little better if we would have gotten a little bit about the last nights. Kind of fascinating that that's one thing. When I went down to the Comedy Store, 2 blocks is the Chateau Marmont.
Yeah.
And I heard about the house that all the people stayed in from the Comedy Store.
Okay.
I sent you the email or the link, but there's a store right up the street. And I mean, every Sam Kinison, Robin Williams, David Letterman, Jay Leno all stayed in, because everyone came here had nothing.
Yeah.
Whitney Cummings, she said it took her 2.5 months, 3 months to even get an open mic spot.
I could believe it. I mean, you see how hard it is, you know?
When I went down to apply
Yeah.
for, which I even got an actual interview for at the Comedy Store, I was there on the night of open mic. And I was there. So the sign up started, I think, 6, and I was there at 4, and the line was up the street. And the lady, I got interviewed in that special room upstairs.
Yeah.
That has on the small, it's where they do the no shows, the private shows.
Yeah.
And on the stage is Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin statues.
Oh, wow.
On the corner.
Cool. Yeah.
And then from that area, you walk into the office that's outside of Mitzi's office.
Yeah.
So I watched the Belushi documentary, and then I watched the Animal House.
Okay.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
My dad took me to see Animal House at the theater.
Okay.
1978. So I was 14 years old.
That's a good age to watch that movie.
Oh yeah, because now I want to go to college. I'm on board 100%.
Yeah.
But so I watched that, and you know who wrote it was Harold Ramis. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I like Harold Ramis. So
John Landis was the director. Harold Ramis wrote. He did Ghostbusters, Stripes, Caddyshack, Groundhog Day,
and an actor too, along with being a writer and director. Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorite roles of his. You're gonna think this is crazy. Is in the movie about Southern California with Colin Hanks' son.
Okay.
The OC.
Yeah. Oh, the
Jack
OC.
Black plays his brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that right there was his when he takes the ecstasy.
Yeah.
And he's in the car. I just thought for him to do that role at that time was a class act.
I think when you ever see that movie Knocked Up with Seth Rogen? Yeah, he was in there too. He played his.
He was the dad.
He was the dad. Yeah.
At the dining.
The diner.
The diner.
He's talking
about
the
breakfast scene.
Yeah, he was talking about like how they, he smoked weed and he didn't know that he smoked weed, and he told him he didn't smoke weed, but he was smoking weed the whole time. And he's like, yeah, it was like a little bit before bed, but yeah.
Yes. As parents, we all have secrets, so to speak. But anyway, I watched that, and then I went right into so John Landis directed the Animal House, and he did Blues Brothers, Coming to an America, American Werewolf in London, Trading Places. Pretty big stuff. Yeah, and he also did the movie from the TV show Rod Serling's. What was that show? Twilight Zone. Okay. He directed the Twilight Zone where that actor got their heads cut off.
Which
Twilight Zone was a movie that had different segments. Yeah. And one of the segments was a Vietnam segment, and the helicopter flipped and killed a couple people. And one of the persons that was killed was Vic Morrow, the actor who was in the scene, who was from the famous show Combat. Growing up, I didn't know this. I didn't know this happened on the Twilight Zone. World War II thing.
No, I love Twilight Zone.
Big lawsuit.
Mm. Oh, you can.
So no, not on the TV show, on the movie version with John Landis.
Okay.
So, and and then you look at had John Belushi, Tom Hulsey for Amadeus.
Yeah.
Of course, Kevin Bacon, which was in everything. Karen Allen from Raiders. You know who discovered Karen Allen was Brian De Palma back when he was in New York in film school.
Okay.
He discovered him and Terry Garr. Believe it or not, they were in his short films, as Robert De Niro was in all his short films.
Yeah.
He worked on everything. That's why he was so good. And then I went into Mr. Mom.
Okay.
You ever see Mr. Mom with Michael Keaton?
Yeah. That's a long. I haven't seen that for a long time.
And I mean, Michael Keaton, man, he was the man for a while in Hollywood.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you had him doing, Beetlejuice. You had him doing Johnny Dangerously. Night Shift is what really put him on the board with Henry Winkler working at the morgue.
Yeah.
And
obviously Batman and all that.
Oh, got picked for Batman, which I liked his Batman.
I liked his Batman too.
I liked Tim Burton's Batmans. The second one got a little DeVito and everything got a little bit out of it. But I thought that his vision of the Joker with Jack Nicholson was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
There was something, because when I think of cartoons, or when I think of comics, I think of cartoonish characters.
Okay.
And the original Batman was a very cartoonish of the Marvel series, so that's pretty much where the stuff that I love. And then so for Mr. Mom, it was written by John Hughes.
Okay.
John Hughes, who did 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Pretty in Pink, Planes, Trains, and Automobile. And I did not know that. And that would be in my top 5 comedy movies.
Yeah, I love that
personally.
Movie. Yeah,
it's because it's sad at the end.
It's sad, and it's just it's the combination of the two, John Candy and all that. It's great. I mean, who doesn't love John Candy? I mean, he's freaking. I remember when growing up, he was so loved.
I love in that movie when it all starts going and Steve, he starts putting all the pieces together.
Yeah.
And then he goes into the train station.
The train station.
He doesn't have anywhere to go. He's just there.
He's just there.
Killer.
Yeah.
All John Hughes stuff has a little bit of that heart tug.
Yeah.
I think with comedy, when you have the bipolarism, because that's pretty much what these comics are, not happy people.
No.
None of them.
But some of those movies, a lot of those comedies that have like they'll have the heartstring, pull out the heartstring, and then they add that element to it. Yeah, like a Planes, Trains, Automobiles. Those are usually the ones that stick with you. Yeah.
Oh well, and even the Vegas movie with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Remember at the end?
Yeah. He's
the one who makes the change.
Yeah. And
if you
Which
don't
is interesting because you don't realize that he's like the main one until that moment. Really,
he's the only one that has a change.
Yeah,
it's his story.
Yeah, it really is.
We think it's the guy getting married story or the Vegas, but it's not. He's the only one that has the arc. And at the end, he's going, "Holy shit! I have my family." And he's stealing the kids' money to go gamble.
Yeah,
the school trip money.
Yeah.
So, and then the last thing I spent a lot of time on was the Comedy Store, which we'll wrap up together. So up to that point, what do you got for me? Oh, and Ray Donovan is another thing I watched for the first time.
Oh, it was your first? I've never seen that show. I've always heard good things about it, but I thought you've seen it before. I don't know why
No, I never. I watched the first episode, but I didn't watch the first season.
Okay.
And it just shows you how scummy, really. I mean, I know
like
how
Hollywood
scummy
is and all that. Yeah.
How scummy Hollywood is because you have these fixers, and from my personal experience, I saw it happen.
Yeah.
So I know how it works, and it just was really interesting. But John Voight, I'm going to tell you what, this guy knocks it out of the park.
I didn't know he was in the show.
And he does whatever he wants. So I mean. A lot of people don't like him because of his political views, and I don't listen to political views, but I'm familiar with his work going back to Coming Home and Oscar winners, and even in the movie with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, Heat, he has these but he owns the scene when he comes in and he talks the business to De Niro about the schematics.
It's interesting seeing him in that role because he's kind of like this middleman, scummy looking kind of guy, shady guy with a mustache and the long hair and this cheap suit. And then he's like, it's funny. I like that scene where they first introduce him and he's talking about like the schematics. And before the conversation's over, like before the scene's over, he like cuts to De Niro and is like, "So what happened out there?" And he's like, "Don't ask." And then they just leave it like that. And I like that transition from talking business to be like, "Hey, so what went wrong at that, the last job?" And he's kind of pretty much, and I just love that scene. I love that transition.
It's worth. Now I haven't watched the rest of the seasons. I don't know. I haven't watched second, but I did watch the first season this week, and I mean I'm a big fan. Lee Schreiber, phenomenal. Everybody in this show is great. Elliot, all the cool. Everybody's great in it. But John Voight comes in, steals the scene, and walks out, and he does crazy dances, and he's such a bad person. You like him,
yeah.
So I would recommend that. I highly recommend.
Okay.
What do you got for me this
I've
week?
always said good things about it. What do I got for you? A lot of the same, shows I've been watching. As far as movies, I'd say Social Network went that again over the week. Uh, Speaking of Batman Forever, I haven't seen that one with Val Kilmer and Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones, and I watched that one again. I haven't seen it for such a long time. It's definitely a departure from the other two, which were a little bit more noir, like Keaton's. They're a little bit darker and a little bit, yeah. They had the comic, funny, cartoonish element to them, um, with the Keatons, but this one with Batman Forever with Val Kilmer took that comic-y, cartoonish kind of feel.
Who directed that? Do you know?
I want to say it was Joe Silver, but
Oh
I could be wrong. I don't know.
no, that sounds familiar for some reason. He did direct one of them.
Yeah, I think
But
it might be.
I didn't know if it was that one or the one with Arnold as Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, that one. That one. Okay, so I watched that one again. That one is pretty bad. And I would say,
Well, yeah. I mean, Batman actually committed suicide after being in that movie.
yeah, that way, because you see the Keatons, and they're targeting that age range of like late teens. Yeah, the kids will be into it, but it's more of that late teens to like late 20s type of like
Well,
target
that's when
audience.
I went to the theater and saw it the opening night with my wife.
And so Batman Forever is still hovering around that target audience. Maybe they drop it a little bit lower because they want to sell merchandise. And that was definitely one of the biggest marketing efforts that they did for that movie, because it was everywhere. I remember the toys, the Burger King mugs, and you name it. It was posters, and then obviously the music video and all that. But they went full kind of PG-13 with Batman and Robin with George Clooney. They just kind of went full kid mode, which I think a lot of people just is at the bottom of the list.
Well, what about the Ben Affleck one?
You know what? I think he did fine, because he hasn't really had his own movie where it's just him. He's always played opposite of either Superman or all of them. So he hasn't really. It's been fine. He's done pretty well, and I think he's done actually a lot better than a lot of people expected, and especially when he's in the suit completely as Batman, which I do like. And he's a big kind of guy, so he fits the I don't know, the physique and everything. Like a buffed out Ben Affleck kind of fits that suit. So, but yeah, Batman Forever, I thought it was actually pretty good, man. It was still kind of campy, a little corny at times, but some of those performances, like Jim Carrey, that's ultimate Jim Carrey. That's Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and all his stuff that he did on In Living Color, like everything around that time, because that was like mid-90s. That's ultimate Jim Carrey in this movie. He's got some great one-liners and some great moments in this fun. And if you're a fan of Jim Carrey, it's like he kind of steals a lot of the scenes. Tommy Lee Jones, I thought, did a decent job. A little bit over the top.
Two-Face, right?
Yeah, I would have liked him to have dialed it down a little bit, the over the topness, because you already have Jim Carrey, who's way over the top. That you don't need two of them. I just thought you could dial it down a little bit. And then Val Kilmer, I thought, did a pretty good job. Looking back on it, I thought he did
he's a great actor, and make no mistake about that.
And he even as far as a Batman that you can compare it to, like the animated series, which a lot of people, that's their favorite Batman, because the animated series is pretty well done. I thought Val Kilmer is actually the closest to that. I don't know. Being a Batman fan and all that, I thought he actually did a pretty good job. I was looking at why he didn't do another one though. So his reasoning for not doing the follow up to it was that he had not an incident, but like there was a set visit by Warren Buffett and Warren Buffett's grandchildren. So they came to the set, and they had no interest in meeting Batman. They had no interest in meeting Val Kilmer. They all wanted to do was see the Batmobile and play with the gadgets. That's all they wanted to do. And then so Val Kilmer basically was like, you know what? It doesn't matter who's in this suit. Like, I don't. Why am I? Maybe it was an ego thing. I'm sure it was a big ego thing. But seeing that he doesn't matter who does a role, it's really just all about lifestyle, I guess, of Batman. The way he put it, that he didn't like that. So that's why he didn't do another one.
What's your favorite Val Kilmer movie?
I think the two performances I think I like. As far as just his own movie, I don't know, but performance wise, probably Tombstone and Heat, those two.
How about The Doors?
Yeah, The Doors too, but it's not one of my go-tos for Val Kilmer. But I'm sure, yeah. Is that yours?
No, I would go with Tombstone.
Yeah,
I just love every aspect of that movie. So there's not a weak link for me in any part of that movie.
and his performance is probably the most memorable, with Doc Holliday and all that. So, but I like it. I like
Ringo.
him in Heat. I like him in Heat because he's like serious face, but I don't know. I love him in Heat. I thought he was great.
Well, so in Heat, I love the scene where he's had the fight with Ashley Judd, and he's crashed out at Robert De Niro's fake pad in Malibu or wherever it happens to be. I do like that scene.
Have you seen what happened? Have you seen what happened to Ashley Judd recently?
Mm-mm.
She was, I think she was camping somewhere, or she was doing something outdoors. I don't know what she was actually doing. Shattered her leg. She's in like broke her leg in multiple places.
Yes. Well, she wasn't that on set though? Wasn't it a set injury?
I don't know if it was. I don't think it was a set injury. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be. But I thought she was like on her own, doing her own thing, vacation type of
I
stuff.
thought it might be, but yes, I did hear about her accident, whatever. I always liked her.
Yeah, I always liked her too.
Personally, she got obviously blackballed because of Weinstein and the whole deal and different things. But I always liked her movies. I thought she was very attractive, very very powerful, great actress.
Yeah.
And she owns Val Kilmer in Heat.
Oh yeah, those scenes.
And I like that, and I like that scenes.
Or at least forces him to like,
do what needs to be done
for the scene. Yeah, for sure.
Did you see Salton Sea with Val Kilmer?
I don't think
kind of the meth thing, whatever, but really interesting. I'd like to go out to the Salton Sea myself sometime in Southern California and see it. The brine ocean and whatever, but no, I'd have to say if I'm going to think of Val Kilmer, the scene that's going to stand out for me is in Tombstone when Michael Biehn playing Johnny Ringo does the whole gun thing and he takes the cup.
Yeah,
just brilliant. I mean, the tense. I mean, everyone thinks there's going to be a shootout, and even the sheriff comes over and goes, "We don't want to fight in any language because they're talking in Latin."
Yeah,
but I really thought that was my favorite scene in Tombstone.
Yeah,
the only one better is that what does he say? I'm your when he sees
I'm your
at the end, and he shoots Johnny Ringo.
Yeah.
I just thought I love that movie, and I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I thought that was really good too. Last on my list, I would say, let's see, Irresistible, which is an HBO recently a film which they put out recently. It's starring Steve Carell and Rose Byrne. It's a political comedic drama set in like maybe 2017, 2018. It's set in that time period. So it's you have it has Bill Cooper. Yeah.
No, I don't know anything about it.
So Steve Carell. So Bill Cooper is at like this town hall. He's an ex military guy. He makes a speech at this town hall. It goes viral. Steve Carell is part of the Democratic Party. Comes in, tries to get him to run for mayor of the town and have the Democratic Party back him. And then Rose Byrne is kind of like a Tammy Lauren, Fox News type of person. She comes in as a Republican and tries to back the incumbent mayor. And so they have like this like comedic back and forth, and it's pretty good. And it started out questionable. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. And then I would say it went on and was actually a pretty fun movie. It ended. The ending's like whatever. I don't know if you're ever going to catch it, but it's the ending was okay. I didn't mind the ending too much. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's on HBO Max net right now. It's on HBO and it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it a lot.
I have a hard time with Steve Carell.
In terms of
Well, because he owes me money, but no, because of he's so ghosted with The Office.
Yeah,
that I have a hard time sometimes simulating him in any of his movie roles. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. I mean, he is, and when he left The Office, it died.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it only lasted a season or two after that.
Yeah.
But it did have some good moments where they brought in guest kind of.
Oh no, yes,
bosses and all that.
I agree. But still,
James Spader.
he's just to me, he's always going to be. And the thing is, my wife and daughter, they love The Office. My wife watches it all the time in the reruns. But I just feel uncomfortable because he's such a, I don't know, something about it. I have to leave the room because I feel embarrassed for him or something.
No, I don't know if it's that. I don't know. I don't get that.
No, for me.
For you, yeah. I think it was that movie Dan in Real Life was one of the first times I saw him out of The Office. I think maybe where he did like this comedic kind of drama. He does a lot of those. And then was it The Big Short where he was in?
Yeah.
And I think
he
still adds a little comedic element to it. I think in movies like that.
I love the movie where he played the guy who the wrestling movie, and I can't think of the name offhand. There's Mark Ruffalo in it.
Foxcatcher. Yeah.
No, that because I was familiar with the real story.
Yeah,
I thought that was probably my favorite movie role of his.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I didn't see him at all in that.
Yeah, and that one had no comedic element to it at all, where he can chime in with like some type of funny face or whatever. Like that was
no improv for him on that.
No, not at all. So yeah, definitely that. Yeah, that.
So I
in his career.
So that for me would be for him.
Yeah.
But really, my and since we're going in this way, my pick of the week has been this documentary on Showtime about the Comedy Store.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5-part. It's by Mike Binder, who was on the show. And for someone like you, anybody who loves I'm going to tell you what, if you love any of the sitcoms from the 70s, then you should watch this because they all came from the Comedy Store. You've been in the Comedy Store. Have you been in all the different rooms or just the main room?
I think 2 of them. The main room. I've been in the main room most of the time, and I think I was in. Is it the original room? Yeah, I've been in 2 of them. I would say I've been in 2 of the rooms. I think
the original room is the original room, and then you have the belly room upstairs.
Yeah, the original room and the main room. There's a big one, and then there's the one that's like it's kind of darkly lit red. It might be the original room.
That's the original room, I think.
Yeah, so I've been in 2. I've been in those 2, and then they have a small room where like up and coming acts kind of like work out their stuff. Or some of the time the big names will stop by until that really small room. It's like it seats like 30 people.
And when you see the people that came through there, is there anybody who hasn't been there? And the people who were turned down. So who's the stand-up comedian? He's Asian. He was on the show. Not Cracked. Like you would know his name, but he was sitting next to Mitzi when C.K. Lewis auditioned, and she had him stop after 1 minute.
Asian comedian.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not Bobby Lee, is it?
It is.
Okay.
So he is next to her, and she cut him off after a minute because they put the light on, and she goes, he's really famous. He's doing it. Couldn't get on there.
Wow.
And she did not look at your jokes.
Yeah.
She looked if you had charisma.
Yeah,
She said anybody can learn jokes. That's not the problem here.
Yeah.
If you can't hold the audience's attention, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But what was fascinating on this show was Pauly Shore.
Well, that's his family. Yeah.
Exactly. But look at where he did with comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So imagine growing up and I want to be a comedian, and that's my mom. He couldn't do the Comedy Store. He had to do everybody else's store.
Yeah.
And then he became a movie star. So for him to talk about it, I mean, to fight that type of,
Well, he owns it now, right? It's his.
Yeah. I don't know if he owns it, but I know he manages it. I mean, he's there. The guy who runs it now is the dude from
I think his name's Adam.
TV.
Is it Adam?
Yeah, Adam Coulter from the TV show with John Stamos.
Yeah,
and the other.
He's the one that does all the lineups and calls people. So it's probably just kind of it's his to like manage and own.
They show him. Show him listening to people audition, and the pain on his face is just so brutal. But
people say they like him though from other comedians, because I watch a lot of comedians podcasts. And they usually talk about him, Adam, and Pauly, and Bobby Lee is a big friend. He's a close friend of Pauly, so he talks a lot about it. And some of his Mitzi Shore stories are pretty funny, because he got invited to dinner one time. He says Mitzi Shore has like, her house was very like gothic-y, kind of like she is like that. So it was, and everybody does an impression of Mitzi Shore, and from what I hear, the current state of the Comedy Store is probably, I think a lot of people, it's their favorite time right now, because it was booming. The comedy was booming before the pandemic. There were sold out shows, highest level comedy you can get, and people were just coming in, and there was a period, I think of, was it the late 90s to like the early 2000s, to where like there was like nobody there? Did they talk about that in the documentary? Yeah, where there would be like some of the comedians would be performing for like 5 people.
Well, after the strike in 78, things changed.
Yeah,
so there was a strike in 78. And it was very interesting, because they show a clip of Johnny Carson talking it with Buddy Hackett, the comedian, about the strike, and if people should get paid and what they thought. Now, Johnny Carson's people lived in that audience. His consultants, or whoever he shopped. I mean, Johnny Carson probably made more comedians known than anybody else, any other talk show. Even today, no one. I mean, when you think about the people that came through that, from Johnny Winters, Jonathan Winters. I mean, Pryor. I mean, Robin Williams. I mean, it's David Letterman, Jay Leno, Tom Dreesen.
Yeah.
So the strike happened, and they're picketing out front. And the audience and the comedians say we should get 50% of the door, because you pay all these other people. And David Letterman was the one and Jay Leno were the ones that started the strike. And I will have to say that I don't agree with that, because when you look at the amount of showcasing, you couldn't pay to sit in front of Universal Studios or all the people, and they were just getting shows. So a lot of these people that were complaining were making millions already on TV shows and whatever. And you had people who weren't, and I understand, but it was a very interesting situation. Gary Shandling broke the line.
Gary Shandling is great, or he was.
He broke the line. He crossed the strike. Him and that famous the Russian guy, I can't think of his name. Smirnov was his last name.
Yeah, Yakov Smirnov.
Yep. They were the only two. They crossed the line, and they were out. Comedians didn't like it. The Russian guy said, "We didn't get paid in Russia. Why would I get paid here?" Whatever. Anyway, it was very interesting, the strike, and
so that's your pick then, huh? For the week?
That's my pick. I watched it 3 times, where I'm on my 3rd session in a week.
We'll see when comedy comes back. I think summer you're at least here in LA, you're gonna have the half capacity. I think you're gonna start seeing it a little bit more.
It talked about in that final episode, a lot of podcasts. I mean, podcasts have become huge. Mark Maron being even though Rogan got the thing, his the one that really pretty much WTF kind of pushed it.
It kind of pushed it through, for comedians.
I thought it was really good. I don't listen to any podcast.
I recommend some. I'll recommend. You know what? Instead, I don't have anything necessarily to recommend this week that people haven't really seen. I have some stuff that I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't really recommend Malcolm and Marie. I think it was a Netflix documentary.
Oh, my wife saw it and thought it was horrible. Personally.
Yeah, and I don't know what she thought. I didn't like it either. For me, it was the actors and the roles that they were required to play did not fit their age range. I think like you had Zendaya, who looks young, and you have
she is young.
Yeah, she is young, and Denzel's son, who is younger or a little older than her, but young still, and he's playing like this established, hot director, Hollywood director, and then the conversations that they were having just didn't match the people that it was coming out of. It just didn't work for me. If they were older, or if they were up, if he was more of an up and coming director, like trying to make it in the big, in the industry, and like they were struggling together, but they're having these kind of conversations. They were too young. They were like kids doing adult dialogue. It just didn't work for me. I don't know.
Well, I didn't see it. I read the reviews. My wife,
yeah.
I mean, it was being pushed for a reason. Obviously,
what did she think about it? She just didn't like it.
The story didn't make sense for what it was.
Yeah, for me, it was the age. I don't know if you can talk to her after this. For me, it was the age, and the dialogue and who that they were playing. It just didn't work for me. It didn't match who was playing these roles. It just didn't match.
And she said it, and once if my wife doesn't recommend it, my wife did recommend Emily in Paris, so that negated some of
another one I don't recommend is the Cecil Hotel documentary on Netflix. I don't. It came out. It kind of revolves around the hotel itself and the mystery murder case or death case of this one girl that ended up in the water tower above.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend it. It started out pretty good, episode 1, and then it just kind of got a little weird and just gross. They started interviewing a lot of these YouTuber detectives, and they basically took over the documentary, and I wouldn't recommend it. It was I did not like it. But I do, as far as what I can recommend, a couple of comedy podcasts. I would recommend Joey Diaz's Uncle Joey.
I love that guy. He's a huge part of this documentary, by the way.
Oh, that's good, because he's revamped his podcast, and it was The Church of What's Happening Now, which was great. And then he moved to New Jersey recently and altered it and changed it, because it's just mainly just him. But it's I think it's Uncle Joey's Joint, he calls it now. So it's still very much the same show. It's a little bit different vibe. I recommend that one. I recommend Rogan's, obviously, from episode to episode. Depends on who he has. Bobby Lee he's got
you sent me that one.
Tiger Belly and Bad Friends, which he does with Andrew Santino, who's another comedian.
Yep,
great. Those hilarious podcasts. And then who else? A few of them. I'll send you a list. Your Mom's House, and then obviously this one, the Laugh Bunker podcast.
Well, this is, of course, is the most important one, but the last episode, when they talk about political correctness and joke, and Joe Rogan says
Joe
something.
Rogan,
Joe Rogan, not Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
But he said how things in today's world are taken out of concepts. So if and when you hear the language coming, it's Whitney Cummings, and the other one, there's another lady who you're going to know her name. I can't think of. She's more of a blonde hair comedian.
There's a couple of them. There's the popular ones right now. I'd say maybe Elijah Schlesinger is one.
It might be her.
And there's another girl.
Well,
Sorry, my boy's awake.
oh, it was one of those things, but the mouse. I mean, she comes. I mean, the mouse on these girls is pretty staggering.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was very interesting. I find comedy. I laughed so hard during this show when people were doing their stuff. I mean, it just was nice to just laugh, and the people, the lines, and just was pretty. It was pretty fascinating.
That's good.
So that is my recommendation.
That's great, man.
It's a great part of our life, and you who have been there and you love stand-up comedy. They have Jimmy Gard, Jesselneck. I mean, all these people I've
seen Jesselneck a couple times live. Yeah, that's what's great about the Comedy Store. Or even the Ice House. You're able to check out the lineup before. And a lot of times it doesn't really even matter. You go on there, you grab a show, you buy a ticket, and you get a level comedians.
Well, not just one.
Not just one. Nearly the entire lineup.
List.
Yeah, and you get special guest people. It's really, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff.
It was I really it was a nice break from the week.
And for people looking to catch it, I think it's on Showtime. You get the 30-day free trial,
which I did. I do everything for 30 days and then I cut out. I've done Amazon Prime 50 times, though I don't need to. My daughter has it. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Other than that, this is probably the first week I'm not talking about anything that I've watched before. Because really, everything I watched was I've seen Animal House before and Mr. Mom, but I haven't seen those movies in years.
Yeah. And we have something new and fresh that I think people can check out, and I need to check out still. And I plan to get the Showtime 30-day thing, take advantage of that.
But I mean, kind of inspired me to want to go down and see some shows.
Yeah. I think everybody, once the things open up again, and you can even go down to some of these clubs like La Jolla and all that. I think eventually those things will open up. So
I saw they're open. Yeah. I looked on their site.
That's great.
All right, for outdoor stuff. So anyway, my recommendation, laughing is great.
All right, man. Good catching up with you.
There's always Tom Brady.
Good, man. Good catching up with you. Good talking to you. Thank everybody for listening and watching. Subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. So it's been good catching up with, and we have a lot of stuff to talk to you about next week and all that.
Yeah, excellent.